This is Going After What's Yours with your talk show host, Celso Nolberto. And today we are initiating our first podcast. And I'd like to tell you that I'm very happy about this accomplishment. There's so many things that one can say. And having a platform such as Spreaker or any platform that we can voice our opinions, voice what we care about and what truly matters to us. It's I think particularly in this time so important where there is so many voices. We all have the ability to choose who we can decide to listen to and who we're going to allow to influence us, right? And of course, we all want to be moved towards the right direction. And I think that's one of the greatest things when it comes to listening to podcasts. You're able to listen to a podcast wherever you go. You're able to listen to it while it could be you're working out or in the car or just doing your errands and chores, right? And one of the things that I desire to do as a host is be able to breathe life, direction, a sense of empowerment to all of my listeners and all of those who are hearing us, right? And I think that's one of the ways to use this medium the most responsible as possible. As I started or initiated this process, and one of the things that crossed my mind was simply being able to truly help people understand what is their life purpose and what is their calling on this earth. And being the best, being all you were created to be. Being all you were created to be. And it reminds me of a quote by Martin Luther King that states, there shouldn't be anyone born before you, after you, or even dead who is better than you. In other words, we should be able to maximize our giftings, our talents to such a degree that no one ever born has been able to do it. In other words, completely allowing that uniqueness, that embedded uniqueness that is inside of you to truly show itself in the world. And with that, I like to start off this podcast by stating the theme that we're going to be discussing in this hour. Now, is interestingly enough, I've had all the material prepared for about a year now, or yes, a good year now concerning starting the podcast. And I was holding myself off because in the beginning stages of creating my business, for those of you who do not know, it's called Purpose to Function LLC. I was busy working on the foundation, the normal, just basic things one do to grow your business cards, your website, making sure all of your systems for receiving payment is correct and is on point. And, a lot of the trial and error that comes in the beginning stages, I said, though I had everything prepared to start off a podcast, I said, let me hold it, take some time to get the initial stages of the business correct or get it functional to a degree and then start it off. And currently right now, the world is in a place of quarantine. The world, for those who don't know, it's currently April the 3rd of 2020, there was a precedented epidemic that took place called the coronavirus. And something that I told myself in this process and in this place of being quarantined, where explicitly we have a lot of time, and I saw it as two things. One can either see the current epidemic as a problem or see it as an opportunity. And this was the time that it sparked within me. It came to mind. Why not launch the podcast that you've had in mind to do so for a good year now? And in the spirit of things taking place and going on, I aspire to be able to encourage, uplift, and empower people in this time. So I would like to call this episode "The Things I Learned in Adversity," or "The Things Learned in Adversity." So we're going to start with that. And before we get right into the subject matter, I like to tell the audience and those who hear me and will be hearing me in the future time that this podcast, we're going to be having guests, interviews. This is a podcast where we're aiming to uplift, empower, inspire people to live their best self, to be, like we said in the beginning, all you were created to be. And that will be the aim of this podcast. That would be the aim of this podcast. So, on that note, I'm going to be talking about a few things I learned in adversity. And I want to go straight off into the first thing, which is mindset has a big part to play. When we're faced with adversity or a challenge like this one, saw itself to be mindset. The way we're thinking has a big part to play. Particularly in the area of perspective. And when this situation started off, first and foremost, I like to say that particularly to me, it was a shock. It was a shock. It was something that was startling, definitely a lot of uncertainty. But I knew that it was, innately, I knew that it was an opportunity for leadership. I knew that I wanted to step up. But to be honest, there was a lot of things in the midst of this pandemic that first needed to be addressed in the area of having the right perspective. So in this, I needed to be honest about where I was and how I felt about what was taking place in the world at large, and in my personal world, in my personal space. How sickness, if involved or when involved, how this could affect me in the immediate, in the long term, my loved ones. Concerning the coronavirus, it was said in the beginning stages that those who could be mostly affected are the elderly, and maybe even the more youngest, like children, or those who are sick, and particularly it would affect the lungs. And there was a lot of things that was new to this pandemic, and the world at large was learning what was the effects, what were the consequences. But individually, it was something that we all had to learn and grow through together. Now, though this was the case, I needed to take time to assess the situation. And this is what I was doing in these beginning stages. Now, something I started doing in the midst of this process to strengthen myself and to have the right perspective mentally was educating myself until I felt comfortable. And what that meant was staying on top of what was new, staying on top of the information that was being distributed at large. But in the midst of this, I also saw that this could have been potentially dangerous to my mental health, in that so many voices, so many opinions. So I centered myself mostly on what was coming from the White House, the things that our current President Trump was saying, and how things would trickle down, reaching where I was. I also saw it necessary to strengthen myself in the area of faith, which is something that I value, and it's something that is instilled in me to my core, which I know can make or break me, particularly in this situation, and something I have not experienced before. And what this meant was I needed to strengthen and motivate myself. And I did this by listening to the voices in this time that I considered to be credible, voices that I considered to be one that has personally impacted and affected me, and I thought was something that I needed to gravitate towards at the time to strengthen myself and see what they were saying, being the greater voices with big platforms, but particularly those who I admire and adhere to. And knowing that as I was listening to what they had to say, that I will also be encouraged and empowered to give to others, because innately I understand that I can't give to others what I do not have on the inside. I cannot give what I do not have. And I know that there was things I simply did not have, which was knowledge, information, and that's why I was seeking these things. And also, I wanted to feel adequately enough and sufficient enough in myself and what I knew to be able to give to others. And I found this very helpful. So as we conclude this episode, I hope that what was said was something that's beneficial. It's something that even now as we speak, as I mentioned, the date being April 3rd, we're still in this epidemic, and we're moving closer to a climax, whatever that may be. And if anything, I'll be updating in the times to come. But I hope the little that was shared is something that is of motivation and encouragement for you in this time. Now, we're going to be sharing in the next episode how I prepared myself to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, and truly, and what this meant for me. Now, this will conclude our first episode on things I've learned in adversity. And this is Going After What's Yours with your host, Celso Nolberto. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to share. For those who don't know, you can find me on YouTube. We're doing a motivational series called Seeds of Hope. Check that out. And you can also follow me on Instagram, our business page called Purpose to Function. Don't forget, nothing is impossible if you believe.